it's 30% the product, it's 70% the entrepreneur.
Yeah.
And it may be unfortunate, but it's the truth of it, right? We're more so looking at, can the person really succeed? What is their track record?
We help people with ideas get them to revenue.
Welcome to the Pitch to Product podcast. My name's Aaron.
And I'm Norm.
And on today's episode, we're going to be talking all about your frequently asked questions that we hear when we're talking to our potential clients.
One of the most common questions is, when I will break even from my investment. When will that happen after my product is launched?
Yeah, and that's such a good question, right? But before we get into really the breaking even, you got to have a starting point,
Totally.
right? So talk to us kind of a little bit about like how we even set you up on that, get you on the starting point, and then we'll go from there.
Yeah. I mean, again, like we're kind of that anomaly when it comes to product development, right? We're the company that's going to take your product all the way from design to manufacturing, branding and marketing. We are that, full turnkey solution on how to bring a product to market. And not just bring a product to market, but actually build a business around the product as a whole.
Yeah.
Really what it comes down to is, you'll have a conversation with us. If we like your idea, we'll bring it to the team. And if they like it, then we're off and running. So I guess whenever we start, what does that first day look like?
Yeah.
When they're meeting with you and I?
Yeah, when they're meeting with you and I, it's really the most probably relatable thing would be a Shark Tank pitch. And ultimately they're pitching our ideas. I mean, we got trained by the co-founders, Peter and Dan, who know all things about sales, marketing, but also manufacturing, right? And we know the e-commerce space very well. It's, what's sold on Amazon, what can actually sell, what's viable in the marketplace. And we take that, we listen to the pitches, and we say, is this something we can do? Is the entrepreneur confident enough in their idea and they're ready to sell? And what does that market actually look like, right? Because the long-term play here is that we want to be your manufacturer. We want to be your subcontractor while you grow and scale. And we're not locking you into a long-term contract from a manufacturing perspective. But if I take on the best ideas, I invest in my people in the program to set up your business the right way. It's to answer your question, it is essentially a matter of time until if you put the work in, that you break even and far exceed that with those massive inventory orders, right? Because as your manufacturer and as someone rooting for you, I want to see you put in those 100,000 production unit orders, right?
And there's so many people, there's so many companies out there that will take a product idea on, get it designed, and then hand you off with a manufacturer.
Yeah.
Really what 52 Launch is all about is, bringing you through the process of designing manufacturing, and actually, there are manufacturing plants overseas. So that's what we're super excited about. Whenever we, choose to take a product on, we're always thinking about how we're going to grow, scale the business, and then create a long-term partnership with the client that we choose to take on.
And we're not taking ownership. We're not taking part of your profits. It's not a profit sharing opportunity.
There
are plenty of companies that do. And, there's a lot of surprises, a lot of hidden fees with stuff like that. We're very straightforward. And there's no real competitor out there.
Yeah.
There's some that do, kind of like you mentioned, there's some that are similar, right? But at the end of the day, getting off a launchpad is the hardest part. Going a la carte is an easy way to spend a lot of money, especially when you don't know the e-commerce space, right?
It seems like the best way to do it, but in reality, there's a lot of hidden fees. There's a lot of people upcharging. With us, it's just so much more inexpensive to do it our way than to pull from all these different companies when you're trying to bring that one product to market.
100%. I mean, frankly, I couldn't have said it any better myself, to be honest.
Excellent. So I just want to get a good understanding for after they talk to us, after we have, our discussion, about if we want to bring the product idea on. When we bring the product to the team, right? What is the first step after they approve it? We're ready to move forward. What does that look like?
Yeah, I mean, we're talking to our head of production and our head of marketing, and we're pitching these ideas to them after we've already narrowed it down to the best 5 or 6 or so. And then, we look at the market out there, right? Because, we don't want to have the flying car, right? Because there's no market out there. for example, the baby ball space is a great space to go into. The golf space is a great space to get into. We look at the entrepreneur, right? Are they ready to sell? Is this something they want to sell at scale, right? Because the birthplace of the entrepreneur starts from a problem. Products are either a need to have or they're a nice to have. And they said, I have this problem in my life. I want to help other people solve that problem. And I also think I can make money doing it. Right? I'm not trying to fleece people. I'm not trying to gouge prices or anything like that. But I just want to do this at scale because I know other people have the same problem that I do. Right? And we're looking at all those different factors. Right? What's already out there? How can we make ours different? And ultimately, we want to not only be in the market, but we want to dominate the market. Right? We want to take our competitors out essentially. Right?
Competition is great. Dominance is that much better. And that's what we're trying to do with every product that we take on. We're not looking to reinvent the wheel, right? We're looking to take on a product that's that direct sell, because anytime you have to reintroduce to your consumer base why you should buy a certain product, you're just losing out on sales. We want a very, very straightforward sell. We want to know why our consumer is buying this. And for us, that makes branding marketing that much easier.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we're really covering in this next year or so the big 4 pillars, right? Which we did a lot of research on: design, production, branding, and marketing. Each one as important as the next
Yeah.
in order for you to actually get to market, right? But and while you're once you actually launch your product, right? Now you got to get in front of eyeballs because frankly, we hear it all the time, nothing sells itself.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, talk about the importance of building awareness, building brand awareness, talking to your consumer.
Yeah.
How important is that once you
Or
actually launch?
incredibly important. Specifically because we have so many people that say, "Oh my gosh, I have this incredible idea and it's gonna sell. I just know it."
Yeah.
The reality is, if you're not putting a solid amount of money, solid amount of revenue behind marketing and branding, your inventory is just gonna sit on shelves. And that's just something that we can't afford as a company because we want that long-term partnership with you, right? You're not contractually obligated to stay with us long term, but it is up to us to win your business every single day. So whenever we choose to bring somebody on, we have to really translate this to them. Branding and marketing is extremely important. In fact, it's the most important part of actually building a company, right? Because you
Mhm.
actually have to not only just build the brand, but showcase on different, sites, especially with, Google SEO. You can't just run right into Google SEO.
Yeah. Yeah.
You
Yeah.
have to start to showcase it on Instagram and Facebook, generate some comments, as well as some buzz, some reviews. And as well, you have to import those reviews into Google so that you showcase, right? If my competitor is having, 250 reviews
Yeah.
and you have 100, which product are they going to buy?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, 100%. I mean, we live in a quickly changing world, a lot of AI,
Yeah.
a lot of artificial intelligence. But I mean, I think e-commerce is the way to get ahead. And I think e-commerce can be summed up by a game of math
Totally.
and data. If you want to win in e-commerce, you gotta almost like collect data on your consumer because it's all about campaigns.
Yep.
You gotta be quick to test. The unfortunate thing is it costs money to test,
does.
and it's not every test is going to lead to revenue, right? Which is you're collecting data at this point, right? The first 6 months to a year, figure out how to sell 1,000 units, right? Collect as much data as you can, learn about your consumer, scale what works, kill what doesn't, right? That's what I think the key to e-commerce is because it's all about a funnel, right? How many people can I get to my website, which is my salesperson essentially, right? What does my salesperson convert at? And I can kind of guesstimate what my revenue is going to be, right? And then I can understand when do I need to put in new production orders? When do I need to start marketing branding for other opportunities, right? Maybe starting on TikTok shop or maybe start selling on Amazon. But I mean, frankly, nothing really sells itself in this world.
Well, going off of that, what type of ways are there currently to really sell product, for someone that is not in e-commerce? And as far as, looking into why video and photography is so important, definitely check out our earlier episodes about that. It is extremely important. In fact, I think it was the last episode that we dropped. Talk to me about, what are those platforms? What do those platforms look like? And what is crucial to be on to actually sell units?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a great question. So I think what's crucial is like understanding where your consumer is in each of those platforms, right? I mean, this is something that we do as well. Every company that's out there, if somebody's searching for, every single social media platform out there runs essentially on an auction system. So and the keywords is what you auction on, right? How popular those keywords are is how it really decides how expensive they are, right? So like market automating platform that might get 100,000 clicks, 100,000 views on Google. Every single might be $5 to bid. Highest bidder gets the top spot. That's how Google essentially works. It's kind of the same when you're selling products on e-commerce. So it's just identifying like, what is my consumer, what are they looking for? Because they don't know my brand. Like Google's great when they know your name, when they know like an Apple or an Amazon. They can just look that up. When you know the name, that's super easy. But when you are describing something, that's when I want to invest into those related key terms to say, okay, I want to pop up on Google whenever somebody says marketing automation platform. Right?
Absolutely. And you know, it's funny, like a client like Amazing, right? Obviously, they've had incredible amount of success, right? But they just didn't get over there, you know, overnight. Everybody thinks it's just like, oh, you snap of the fingers and you're successful. It's just got to be the right product. There's a lot of hard work that goes into it. I mean, the guy was dressing up in a bunny suit, selling these things on the
He was
street.
handyman.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right. But the cool thing with that is people just don't recognize we targeted micro influencers, you know, and then, you know, Kim Kardashian organically found it. So you really take a look at it was just work, 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 and then boom.
Yeah.
Right. So that was the ultimate. And that's, you know, quite honestly, what we're looking to do again. Right. We're
Yeah.
looking to get that next product. And you can't do that by taking on everything. Right. You have to be selective with what you take on. So a product like Eggmazing, we targeted micro influencers, right, on a commission basis, right? Because if you're looking at one influencer to make your product big, and you're looking at someone with 3 million followers, you're going to blow your marketing budget.
Yeah.
But if you have them work on commission, you get a little piece of the pie.
Yeah.
Every product sold. That's what worked for us.
Whenever-
So Eggmazing absolutely exploded. They do millions in revenue, but it didn't happen overnight.
No.
And it's not an overnight success. So micro influencers completely changed the game, especially Instagram, Facebook, TikTok. Now TikTok Shop is really taking over.
TikTok Shop is 100% taking over, and even these advertising costs are never going to get cheaper.
No, definitely.
Right? They're definitely not. And for those to kind of go back, right? Eggmazing, they had the budget there, they had the money to kind of invest in that. If you're just starting off, though, I mean, we always recommend, you know, your day one of selling, start on one platform. Get those, just understand what Meta. Like, start with Meta. Because you can honestly, like, you can never go to TikTok Shop and have an 8-figure business and just be on Google and Meta, and that's it.
Yeah.
Like, that is entirely possible, right? That's and a fair amount of companies do that, right? You don't want to get spread too thin with your advertising costs across if your returns aren't where they should be.
You got to see what works.
Yeah, you got to see what works. So usually we like to see like a 3 to 4x on your ROAS, your return on ad spend. But when you're first starting off, we always say, Norm and I, just collect the data for those first 1,000 units being sold, understand your consumer, and frankly, you know, most of our clients, unless they have a lot of money to spend, you probably only have the budget to start on one platform, right? Which is plenty.
Yeah.
You know, because 6 months, 12 months go by, we sell through your first production order, then you're putting in more production orders, and that's
why our low, you know, our quantity orders are so low, right? You have these low minimum quantity orders that you just can't get anywhere else, you know, specifically because, you know, Dan, our CEO, you know, used to manufacture for Fortune 500 companies. That's why we actually had the buying power to go overseas to those manufacturers. So, you know, the bottom line is the 1,500 to 2,000 units that we usually start out with, the plan is, right, to sell out of those 1,500 units, 2,000 units, to figure out who's buying it, who your target audience is, where they're buying it, and then, you know, going and using and upping, quite honestly, the marketing budget from there.
Yeah.
And then you're able to actually sell out of the second production order to the third production order.
Yeah.
We follow a crawl, walk, run, you know, strategy here at 52 Launch. If we didn't follow that, we would have a lot of failing companies. We have a very, very good understanding on how to sell product.
Yeah.
You have to develop a strategy. Each product is different, and it is a customized approach.
100%. And there's so many different opportunities to, you know, keep getting e-commerce, because advertising is great. You pay premium prices, you get premium results, right? But at that point, like, I already know once they buy my product, right? After I've paid the premium on advertising, they know my company exists. My next mission is to make sure they're a returning customer, make sure there's enough value there, make sure they resonate with the brand enough, because that is what makes money in the long term. Like I can spend a premium on advertising, but if my email marketing, my SMS messaging and marketing is good enough, they'll be a customer for life. And that's a real, that return on that ad spend is going to be absolutely incredible.
It's all
for your
acquiring new
business.
customers.
Yeah.
Because if you have that great customer relationship, right, and you're doing that much extra, right, even just, take a look at skincare or, just ointments.
Yeah,
Right,
exactly.
now, you have those customers for life if you're just going the extra mile,
Mm.
right? Or if your product is that much
Yeah.
better than anything else that's currently out there.
Mhm.
But I know there's like skincare products that I've tried once, and now all of a sudden I buy them every single month because it's just what I know, right? But someone had to put that sponsored ad out there for me to go and search it and find it on Amazon and then become that monthly buyer. So, you know, it can pay you off tenfold to go and find that new customer because then you have a customer for life.
Exactly. But I've also been on the other side of that
Yeah.
where I've bought that skincare product or a golf product,
Mhm.
right? And not that I leave a bad review, but I'll never buy it again,
Yeah.
right? I mean, that's
You're just
that's
not that
exactly,
guy.
I'm just not that guy.
Right.
No repeat buyers
Yeah, yeah.
not around here.
Yeah.
But I mean, and that's usually because, maybe it didn't feel as authentic as
Yeah.
other brands have. Maybe the messaging wasn't quite there,
Yeah.
right? Which is what, quite honestly, we're really excellent at 52 because it's all about the consumer, right? We're not just optimizing for data; you're optimizing for customer service as well. You want to tell a story. That's what people come back to.
Oh, yeah, and you can't just be a storyteller in that moment, you
Yeah.
have to be a story seller, and for us, that's day one.
Yeah.
Getting a really good understanding for why our client is coming up with this product idea is so important
Mhm.
because we can use that for branding and marketing. There's so many different products out there that the reason why they sell so well is because of the story behind them, the video advertising behind them, and then they can truly transform their brand into the story behind the product. And it's not just the product anymore; it's the story behind the product. And look at Ben and Jerry's.
Exactly.
It's the same sort of thing
I
with every product that has an incredible story behind it.
I couldn't have said it better myself because, to be quite honest, you hit the nail on the head. When you hit the market, you want to be the hot new thing.
Yeah.
Whatever avenue you can, because you asked a great question and I didn't really answer it, but where do advertise, right? I mean, there's SEO,
Yep.
there's advertising on the Metas, on the TikTok shop stores, the Amazons, but there's also SEO, there's also UGC, user generated content, right? You want to pay people to post about yours, whether it's an influencer or there's just someone paid to make, as if they're leaving a review. You want public authority. You want people to say, "Hey, this is a good product," right? Because people trust other people. There's no incentive in the reviews, right? If someone's being honest about, if somebody's in the review section and it's either it's negative or positive, you can more than likely trust that it's an honest review,
Yes.
right? And which is the biggest thing now because people in the social media age can smell out when something's not authentic,
Yep.
when something's maybe a little bit too polished, maybe it's too scripted, and it's just like, nah, I can tell this is paid for.
Seems a little too good.
It seems a little bit too good. And when I see, Norm's review, it's 4 out of 5 stars. It lists why, it lists, whatever, and it's got some pictures. I can trust that.
Yeah.
Maybe I buy it, maybe I don't.
Yeah.
Right. But having social proof is one of the biggest indicators to, like I said before on the email SMS, social proof is exponentially important in your growth.
And that's why, there's a lot of people that come to us that have been business owners for so long that maybe own, a retail store that are looking to get into e-commerce. I've been in e-commerce my entire career and I've seen it change people's lives. And I'm fortunate enough to have been able to work with so many incredible entrepreneurs who have really 10x their business, have really grown it. And I always look at them as mentors. But the biggest thing is when we have a client that comes in that's a business owner, they've run a retail store before, and they're just looking, hey, there's nobody coming into my store. How do I get people into the store? How can I switch to e-commerce? And I ask them, how much money are you spending, in monthly SEO or Google ads?
Yeah.
And the answer is zero.
Yeah.
Ultimately, why that business is failing.
Yeah.
So it's people that are uneducated of how to market properly in
Yeah.
2025.
Yeah.
And that's the best thing that we can possibly do with 52 Launch. That's why I love this job is
Yeah.
because every single person that comes through the door, you can learn from and they can learn from you.
Yeah.
So we're very, very fortunate to not just deal with, everyday people, but business owners that had succeed in incredible amounts after they launch with 52 Launch. And then we are able to pick up their sales strategies afterwards and use it for our future clients.
100%, and that brings up a great point too, because I think when you and I specifically talk to clients that are older than us,
Yep.
right, that have experienced, that are the business owners that have just grown on word of mouth.
Yeah.
The word of mouth in person really got placed with the virtual word of mouth, right? And we're now in the change world, right? It's not what it used to be, right? Like, in order to be successful, in order to grow your business at really, really quick rates, right, that are sustainable, that are long term, you're profitable. You have to be on the internet. You have to be investing into marketing and make sure your margins are there, right? But I think the important part here is that word of mouth, you know, had to exist in the old days because there was no option to be on the internet.
Totally.
Now people can chat online all day, and you got to insert yourself there, right?
Look at 52 Launch. You think that we are, cold calling people, asking
No,
if they have an incredible idea that
no.
they want to bring to market?
Or we're not.
Not, not. The bottom line is we have to make ourselves available for the people that have excellent ideas, for the people that want to bring a product to market and not just bring it to market, but to sell units, right?
Mm.
I always say, you may think that you found us. In reality, we were looking for you.
Yeah.
Right? We were looking for the entrepreneur who didn't just want to bring a product to market and just to showcase to his friends, hey, this actually works, but actually wants to sell units at the end of the day. And by doing that, you have to spend money in marketing.
You have to, and how we did that is Google Ads. So Google Analytics, we get granular, we get so granular, and
Yeah.
and we honestly turn ourselves into data experts in, because we know how many people are searching for product development firms. We know how people are looking to are Googling how to manufacture a product or how to bring a product to market, right? And we're strategically inserting ourselves in those we're creating campaigns so that we can auction on those for those keywords, right? And that is the same exact thing that you're going to do once you own once you are in the market with your e-commerce company. You're going to create the campaigns that are relevant to you, and then you're going to auction. You're going to place bids, and you're going to, capital wise, we'll decide how, where you stack, because obviously the number one spot's the most expensive. You don't always need to be there in order to get revenue in, but it'll be your strategy, your campaign, and then how much money you have essentially will dictate where you land on within Google's algorithm.
Yeah, and it's just very interesting to see all these people come in, and some people have the best ideas possible, but it's not, we always say it's 30% the product, it's 70% the entrepreneur.
Yeah.
And it may be unfortunate, but it's the truth of it, right? We're more so looking at, can the person really succeed? What is their track record?
Yeah.
What is their entrepreneurial spirit? The idea, yes, the idea is a huge part of it. The product is a huge part of it. But, 52 Launch is here to bring the product to market. We want a long-term partnership. We're here to assist you. We're here to help you sell. At the end of the day, it's your choice whether or not you want to make this business successful.
It's ultimately, and that's part of, our, why we're here, is that mindset shift of, because everybody says, do you think my product's going to sell?
Yeah.
Right. Everybody says that. And it's like, yeah, it's my job. It's my team's job to make sure it sells. Right. But I always tell people this too. This next year of your life is the vacation before the seriousness starts.
Definitely.
Right. Like, you go on vacation for the next year, trust the team, trust the process, because we've invested so much in making sure the process works, because and then eventually your product's going to come out consumer friendly, made at margins that are, you can manufacture for low, sell for high, and you're going to be profitable every single time that you sell. But the biggest differentiator is ultimately who the entrepreneur is, right? And if that entrepreneur isn't quick to pull the trigger, isn't quick to invest, isn't quick to scale what works, kill what doesn't, then marketing and bringing revenue is going to seem like a lot tougher journey. And it is ultimately a flip of a switch to say, how am I going to be a better salesperson to get this in front of people? Because I already know it's a good idea. I already know that people, have the same problem I do, because maybe I'm a mom with a couple kids and this is a baby product, right? And I know that this fixed something, or I'm a golfer and I have this great golf idea. You might be right. And honestly, your idea is probably fantastic, right? But nobody knows about your company. And an idea is, like I always say, the idea is only worth the infrastructure behind it.
Mhm.
Company's only worth how many eyeballs have seen it,
Absolutely.
right?
And it's for us, our job is to make sure it's market viable for
Yeah, 100%.
and we wouldn't be doing our jobs if we didn't look at that specifically.
Yeah.
But again, a huge part of this is the entrepreneurial spirit and their track record.
Yeah.
And I absolutely love when somebody comes, to our office or even comes, over the phone
Mm.
and speaks to us about the reason why they want this to be a huge success.
Mhm.
And when they talk about the passion behind the product and, the reason why they're solving, the problem of somebody else, that to me speaks, volumes. I
Mhm.
would much rather somebody talk to me about the passion behind a project than say, hey, I'm looking to create a second stream of income or a third stream of
Yeah.
income, because passion drives revenue.
Passion absolutely drives revenue, and it's absolutely key in what the entrepreneur ultimately does with the company. I mean, you can easily see whether it's just a side hustle, whether this is a more full blown job, because we both know this isn't passive income. Like, this takes a
It does.
fairly significant amount of work. That's we can kind of you can I mean, all roads kind of lead to passion, right?
Absolutely.
And it's, if this is something that you don't truly care about, then maybe the entrepreneurship road is for you. Maybe e-commerce isn't necessary for you. We're here with people that want to dive in. They don't want to dip their toes. They're ready to put 2 feet in, and ultimately ready to change the world in a small way.
Well, absolutely. And we've seen this over and over and over again. Like, we love coming to work every day
Mhm.
because the job is so incredibly fun. Because we get to speak to so many incredible entrepreneurs and hear so many great project ideas, right?
Yeah.
For us, that's where the passion lies,
Yeah.
right? Again, because I've been in e-commerce my entire career, I got to see what products did extremely well,
Mhm.
and what industries flourished.
Mhm.
And now I really get to take a hard look at, because we quite honestly have the data of our own products
Yeah.
and what sells and sells extremely well. And we are tasked with certain industries, but it's always the entrepreneur that will sell the product.
It always is the entrepreneur, and I mean, there are products that there are some products you look at and you're like, wow, this should be a home run. I mean, this is a great product. There are other products that you look at and you're like, how is this selling? Right? I mean, I remember one time, and this is not a project that we did, this is before our time, N52 launch time, but Mr. Pet Rock back in the 90s was literally it was kind of like the Build-A-Bear workshop box
Yeah.
with a pet rock and some streamers or some confetti or something. But the story was so compelling.
Yeah.
It was like, this is going to be your pet rock. This is the best rock that you've ever seen.
Yeah, right.
And it's going to be a part of your life, and it's going
Yeah.
to change your life,
Well,
and it's and there were millions in revenue because they sold rocks.
I know, and that's the funny thing with branding and marketing, right? Because something like that may not be a hit today,
Mm.
right? But the people that do it the first time, or the people that are able to do it, 1, 2, and 3 versions 1, 2, 3, or 4, they're going to be very successful.
Yeah.
It's just all about how you go and brand your market, and for us, that's number one. That's the number one thing.
Yeah.
Whenever we choose to take a product on, it's first, is this viable? Can it sell? And then how are we going to make it sell?
Yeah, ultimately, this is going to be a scrappy venture, right? Welcome to the life of an entrepreneur. You're gonna feel like you're kicked down. You're gonna feel like you're on top of a mountain some days.
It's all about getting up.
And it's all about
swinging
getting
and
up.
getting up.
Yeah,
All it
exactly,
takes.
exactly. And frankly, we've seen this process 500 plus times. We've seen the knockdowns. We've seen the get back ups. And we're here for all of it, right? That's why we exist, and we're here to help you grow and to help you scale.
Again, it's that is the biggest thing, because if you take a look, like a company like Amazing, it was work until one night it absolutely exploded. So
Yeah.
I love having these conversations with you. If you have an idea and you're interested in bringing it to market, don't hesitate. Reach out to us because, first of all, we're going to see, is the product viable?
Mhm.
And second of all, we're going to see how we're going to sell that thing. So really, really appreciate your time, Aaron. As always, we'll be seeing you next time.
Thank you so much.
We hope you enjoyed watching this podcast as much as we enjoyed filming it. If you want to learn more about 52 Launch, click these videos here. Don't forget to subscribe to the Pitch to Product podcast. And if you have a product idea, head to the show notes, click the link to 52launch.com, and book a free consultation with us.